Caste, The Origins of Our Discontent by Isabel Wilkerson is a critical read for Americans or anyone who's willing to learn more about racism in the U.S. The main purpose of this book is to argue that the U.S. has a caste system with the following goal of explaining why there's so much discontent in the U.S. between races today. The book does this by comparing the U.S. to other caste systems throughout history, the two being the Indian caste system and Nazi Germany. This book is a critical read because it does a fabulous job of painting the picture of systemic racism in America through historical and personal examples. Wilkerson is an American journalist and writer. She was a journalist for the New York Times and a writer of another book, The Warmth of Other Suns, about Great Migration in the U.S. Wilkerson is also the first woman of African American heritage to win a Pulitzer Prize in journalism. Caste does a great job of blending history and personal examples to create the picture of racism in America. As a Black woman, Wilkerson adds many of her own personal anecdotes about racism she's experienced. One of these stories is about how, as a writer for the New York Times, she was doing interviews with local businesses. And at one of the businesses, the owner simply did not believe that she was the reporter and told Wilkerson to stop wasting his time. Stories like these make the book a must-read because they show how truly racist America is, even in present day. These stories allow the reader to experience empathy, and although the reader might never experience racism firsthand, it gives the reader a first-hand account of what it's like to be Black in America. This use of empathy throughout the book makes it such a compelling read because it does allow the reader to try to be put in Black people's shoes in America and experience what it might be like to not be white or the color of your skin that you are. Wilkerson also does a fantastic job of going through the history of race in the U.S. She does this by comparing the U.S. and Africa. One of the more powerful quotes in the book is, "There are no Black people in Africa." This might seem shocking to the reader, but Wilkerson goes on to explain that in Africa there is more of a divide between tribes and cultures rather than the color of your skin. Wilkerson does an excellent job of explaining how race is a human-made concept and how throughout institutions like slavery and the Jim Crow South, the idea of race and the differences between races were formed to create separation and reasoning as to why Black people could be treated so poorly. Wilkerson throughout the book uses fabulous language, making this book a must-read. Wilkerson writes in such an engaging way and divides up the book well by having the mix of personal stories and historical context. This book never feels like you're reading a history textbook or dry in any way, and I believe that the use of empathy throughout this book does create that. This book does a great job of explaining how and why America is racist, but I don't think it does a great job of arguing that there is a caste system in the U.S. This book's full title is Caste, The Origins of Our Discontent. This book does a better job of explaining and going through the origins of discontent in the U.S. than explaining that there is a caste system. Wilkerson also brings up the Nazi caste system, but dedicates only a little bit of the book to comparing the U.S. system and Nazi Germany. This book is mainly focused on comparing the Indian caste system to the U.S. and uses Germany more to show how the U.S. can grow as a country and recognize its racist roots while moving forward to being a more inclusive country, like how Germany did after Hitler. This book is not a difficult read, although some of the topics in the book discussed are difficult to read. This book would be great for anyone who wants to inform themselves on historical racism in America. This book would definitely be described as more of a liberal book. I think that this book is meant for people who want to educate themselves, not for people who need to be educated about race and racism. This book is well written with many engaging stories to keep the reader involved. This book should be read by anyone who wants to learn more about racism in America and hear about it through personal examples. Although the book does fall short of arguing that there is a caste system, it's still an important read and a lot can be learned from this book. This book uses use of effective language and empathy from the reader, making it all the more compelling to read. This book leaves you still thinking after you're done reading and is absolutely a must read.